doing cool shit.
Yeah.
When I'm around, it's doing
bullshit.
We getting shirts made up. We having a launch party. We doing the whole
He said we
thing.
having a launch.
Yeah, you know what time it is, man. Homegrownradio.net. One more clip.
Remember this?
Yeah. What's up, nigga?
So the reason why I'm playing this song is called Malone. It didn't even come out really, but it was at this video shoot that Big Y said that the most classic shit to me ever in life.
And what's that?
And we was walking, and they was shooting the part of the video that's gonna do all the cameos upstairs. And we was walking in this. We shot it in this ill ass house.
So Adams, right?
Yeah. It was over in like in the Stones. I don't know exactly. I just know how to L.A. geographic. You know, I just know where it was. Off Arlington somewhere.
Yeah. West Adams.
Yeah. Off West Adams, exactly. Right. And Big Y was going in the house, and they was like, "All right, everybody, come on, like let's get the cameos going." And Big Y paused. He stopped, and he said, "Look, check this out. Big Y ain't going up those stairs, and Big Y ain't going down.
Especially them stairs.
And Big Y is upstairs right now.
I'm going to get up some stairs. We're going to take all this man up some stairs. But them stairs, my nigga?
Them stairs was fucking
not them stairs.
You know how old that house is?
You stupid.
Because I had been to that house before.
Okay.
And I done shook stuff and seen how stuff was, and a while ago I wasn't saying that then. I didn't want to jinx nobody, but I remember one time we was there and somebody stepped up one of them stairs and stepped through it.
Oh, hell no.
Damn. That house is old, man, but you know, it is what it is. Not that day. Through my reinvention now with the youngsters, I'm gonna try to bring some of that fun and aggression back. You know what I mean? You know, to get back out there. I'm gonna start performing this summer. You know what I mean? Through the grace of God, I'm back in the gym and, you know, finna knock some of this weight down and, you know what I mean, get back into rapper stage. So I've been all these years, I've been sitting on the couch pointing my finger.
Yeah. Do this, do that.
Saying? So, you know, now I'm getting back, you know, in the mix of things. So, you know, we're going to bring some of that fun back. I mean, it's just fun for me now, you know what I mean? You know, I'm just having fun with it.
That's something you obviously done on purpose, like just to kind of see what's going on around you, or is that something that just kind of happened by nature as far as
Nah, I mean, that's just life, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, for what we got going on. I mean, that's just what we push anyway, because in order to be successful in something, you got to stay relevant with what's going on in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm going to talk about basketball, and you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to get back in the league.
You can't talk about Will Chamberlain.
I'm not finna go hang out with Will Chamberlain and, you know, shout out to the greats, but I'm not finna hang out with them.
Of course.
I'm not even looking for Kobe. I'm going to hang out with Russell Westbrook.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And Harden and them. You know what I mean? So, you know, being around these youngsters, you know what I'm saying? And then it's an influence, you know what I mean? And people don't understand that, and I try to preach that to the older rappers my age and the ones that rhymed before. Bro, you still sound like we sound back then.
Back then, yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't get it, you ain't gonna never get it.
Right.
Like, you gotta listen to what's going on. And some dudes, they don't know how.
And that's probably what the fear comes from.
Yeah, because they don't know how.
Yeah.
See, I don't believe in that. I'm rocking with the new and what's in now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We're wearing Balenciagas, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, the jeans need to be a little closer at the ankle. Okay, then we need to come a little closer to the ankle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't. You know, a lot of other older homies, they feel like, oh, why? You know what I'm saying? It is. We're gonna keep it G. You can't stop me from keeping it G.
Yeah.
I am who I am.
G, yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna walk up in here with this you know what I'm saying, with the new pink dolphin gerbs and the Robin jeans, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I mean, I'm gonna stay relevant, you know what I mean, and you know, I'm gonna look the part, you know, I am who I am, I'm a G, I got a mohawk right now.
Right. How do you compare, you know, your mind frame and your mindset then to what's going on now? You know what I'm saying? The two different cultures and from LA then and LA now as far as the music business.
I mean, it's more like now, to me, it's almost getting back to being more organic like it was in the beginning. You know what I mean? Because records, you know what I'm saying, the end of the music industry is not making as much money as it used to be.
So they like, man,
You
whatever,
know what I'm
whatever we
saying?
can do.
Right.
So now you got these A&Rs and all these different people, got different places, got people placed in the slum and in the streets trying to figure out what's next and paying attention on social media to see what's next. You know what I mean? And, you know, back then, it was like, you know, if you knew the right people and you had a cool thing going on and you could get a meeting, you could chance to get a deal. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, back then, you know, the average advance, you know what I'm saying, the low ball advance was $250,000. You know what I mean? Now, you barely get 10,000 out of some of these people. You know what I mean?
Now, tell us about the 319 Music Group, man. You know, how'd you get things started with that? And obviously, we'll push forward into what's going on with that with you and Big B.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, I started 319. You know, we started a group, you know, the company Checkmate, and we ended up changing it to 319 Music Group because of the address where we was at.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I took it, you know, my partner Sugar Booger, my cousin, you know, we just went different, you know, we had different plans of what we wanted to do in life at one point at a period of time, you know what I mean? And my thing is all music. This is what I do, entertainment, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's still my cousin, you know, man, I love him to death, but he wanted to do other different things, and my focus was music. So, you know, I had started, you know, hanging out with my boy Polly Rob. I met him through DJ Quest. I started doing some solo things, just trying to build my thing back up, you know, just figure out what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I went through a crazy time in my life where I kind of just stopped everything. You know what I'm saying? As far as me hustling in the street, keep it real, I stopped hustling in the streets. I wasn't working. You know what I mean? And here I am. People think, oh, that's Big Y, that's Big Y.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Keep it thug. And I was sleeping in my car.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody didn't know that. Because I never, you know what I'm saying? I play by the rule. You never let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
I stayed fresh. I stayed doing what I had to do to get some money. And, you know, I fought the good fight. You know what I'm saying? And I got back on my feet. And I just started back recording with Quest. And I hooked up with my boy Polly Rob through Quest. And, you know, my brother to this day, Wacko from Compton, you know what I mean? We've been, you know, friends since, you know, school. You know, I had been trying to get him involved in what I was doing as far as music, and he wasn't ready to do it, you know what I mean? And through one of my partners, El Dorado Red, you know, he was trying to do something with Jim Jones, and we started trying to do Bird Gang West when Jim was doing Bird Gang.
Remember that, yeah.
And so I went to Atlanta, stayed out there for a minute, recording, and we hooked up with Jim and told him what we wanted to do. And, you know, through what happened, it didn't work out, you know what I mean? And so, you know, Wacko was like, man, let's just do what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? Let's go find a building. You know what I mean? And, you know, we went and got a studio, and, you know, he came up with the idea, let's name it Checkmate. You know what I mean? And once we named it, you know, we named it Checkmate, we got our building, and we started recording. And I think the first real single was that two-step record that he just
early,
played.
yeah.
And we started pushing that, and I was like, man, he was like, man, we got some young niggas on here with you. I was like, well, shit, you know, my niggas, they the hottest young niggas on right now.
Right.
G Malone and J Rock.
Yeah.
You know, I called them, they on board immediately. Let's do it.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? And we took off from there, and you know, it was doing its thing, and I was doing mixtapes, and you know, everybody embraced it locally and regionally. But I just felt like, you know, it was time I needed to do something big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got the homie, you know what I mean? I'm spending every dime I got. He invested everything he got into this. I'm like, we need to figure out what to do, you know what I mean? And that's when I came up with the idea to, you know, after, you know, first I got the idea to create the group from Big B telling me about YG. You know what I mean? Like, man, you got to hear this dude, this kid. He got this following, man. They be throwing these parties. It be a gang of them, and you know what I mean? A whole lot going on. And I thought about it like, you know, I need to do something. I had an idea, you know what I'm saying, to do a group called Inglewood Unified Swag District, like school district,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, that's too local, and that ain't gonna spread.
You need to
spread
bring
far
it out a
enough.
little farther.
So
than
I
that.
changed it to Cali Swag District, but it wasn't we didn't have nobody. So one day, they boy came back from college from Texas Southern. Shout out to my homeboy Rod. His idea changed our lives. That dude came back and was like, man, they was already doing the dance to Dougie. He was like, man, they be, dude, they be talking about being Dougie and Fresh, but ain't nobody talking about the dance. Y'all should do it. And so Smooth and them went in there, started trying to make the beat, and they making the beat, and they, it ain't coming out right. So Star, my homegirl Star, she went in there by herself for like an hour and came back with that beat, you know what I mean? And they started playing around with the ideas. You know what I'm saying? We had the little homegirl go in there and say the hook or whatever. They did that song. And when I tell you, it was a party going on when they did the song.
Yeah.
They did the song, and that one song played till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning over and over again, with everybody dug in on the table, on the floors, outside. This shit hard. Play it again. So they just having fun. I'm seeing something different. I'm like,
Ching ching. Yeah.
whack your ass up.
Look
It's
what we
on.
got.
It's
We
finna
got
happen.
it.
Blood, call me back. Blood, sleep, call me back. Whatever the case may be. He worried about, we got to get you going. He stuck on me rapping. You know what I'm saying? He stuck on me rapping. And I'm like, man, this is it. Man, I had $75. I bought a case of water, and we got the cameras, and went 2 days later and shot the craziest, weirdest video, the original video for the Dougie.
Yeah.
Put it up. You know what I mean? Probably Rob trained them dudes how to hold microphones, how to, just how to perform, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hooked them up with the school tour. Yeah, they lived Smooth, moved in the studio. All his clothes, washed them across the street. You know what I mean? Young was going to school to be an emergency ambulance driver or something.
Get the
he quit.
fuck out of here.
Young JR and Inbone didn't have nothing to do, so they was there anyway. They stayed in the studio. We roughed it out, bro. Fed them dudes noodles and $5 Caesar pizzas every day. Got hooked up with the school tour through Stephen Roker. Shout out to him and Randy. And
Shout out to the homie
them
Randy,
schools, and me and Potty Rob being knowledgeable of social media and YouTube, we pushing it, and we put that video up, and it took off, and the views just started building. We was counting. I'm like, oh, what's at 100 today? Oh, by the end of the day, it was at 1,000, and then by Friday, we was at the end of the week was at 10,000. And it was just going crazy. I'm like, man, these numbers is going up. And one day, Sour Milk and Sour Milk reached out to us, reached out to me on Twitter, and him and Charisma got a hold to the record. And the first they played it on Power 106, and them dudes was dancing in the middle of Florence, stopping traffic. And once they did that, it was off to the races.
Wow.
We had one of the biggest records to this day, one of the biggest records ever in hip hop, period. You know what I mean? Was Teach Me How to Dougie, and we have 4 million records sold right now.
Now I know the passing of Inbone at the time that it happened was just fucking crazy, and dealing with that was in itself just a whole different thing. But some time after that, man, JR passes. And,
Yeah.
I mean, so how do you guys as a group, yourself individually, and then the group, how are you guys dealing with that situation, or these two situations at this point?
Man, just picture being at the top of the world and then getting just slammed back down to reality again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all of us, I think, we finding a way every day still from then to now to deal with it how everybody deal with it. You know what I mean? And they all deal with it differently. We all deal with it differently. You know what I'm saying? And, it's still hard for me. You know what I mean? I think about it all the time. I can't lie, every day. You know what I mean? I look at old pictures, and, every time I hear Teach Me How to Dougie, you know what I'm saying, on the radio, it's like, I just ask God, like, what happened? Like, I know, it's a test for me. You know what I mean? And for us, it got to be something else. But like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? And it was the most humbling experience I have ever been through in my life. You know what I mean? Because here I am creating something with my homie, you know what I'm saying, and my crew that's to really take me away from who everybody thinks Big Y is and from what I've known to do as me being tied to these street gangs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This was my breath of fresh air. And to lose M-Ball to being killed
some tragic
by a random shooter, you know what I mean? It's like that hurt me. You know what I mean? And then a couple years later, to me being in the studio every day, literally with Third, you know what I'm saying? And to get a call and Wacko like, yo, you got to come to the hospital. Third is in the hospital and they don't think he gonna make it.
Like trying to process that.
Like what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like he was just, what's wrong with him? I didn't even know he had sickle cell. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, everybody under the impression that, you know, a couple of them, you know, Wacko knew and Smooth them knew, but we never talk about it. Right. I never knew. So, but everybody under the assumption that I knew. JR never talked about it. He never showed no signs of illness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we rushed up to the hospital, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, excuse me, man. You know, we was in the waiting room and it started saying cold blue, and Wacko ran in there, you know what I mean? And we talking and, you know, I'm talking to Wacko. I'm like, well, like, you know, what can we do? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we could, you know, maybe we could, you know, he said his lungs collapsing or we could live with one lung, you know what I'm saying? We could get a lung transplanted. I'm thinking about all kind of ways. We just bomb another lung, and whatever we got to do, let's just, you know, what we got to do to save this dude. You know what I mean? And then just stuff started happening. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I walked in there to try to see him or whatever, you know, but I ended up having to come back out because, like, you know, certain things I just can't take,
it's
bro.
too much,
you know what I'm saying? So I walked out. And after a while, Wacko ran back in because they was hollering cold blue. And when Wacko came back into the waiting room, it was like he gone. I'm like, he gone? Where he gone? Like, he transferred him? What you talking about? And he told him Third died, man. And now it's like everything from M-Bone and him right then is just like all at one, just. It just felt like somebody would just sock me in the back of the head, knock me out. Like, I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like how do we go through this? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? And it's just been hard, man, you know. But, you know, we making it, you know, we better. You know what I mean? Every day it's life. You know what I mean? We learn how to deal with it and keep going. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, Smooth and Young, you know, they're not really a group no more. They still go out, you know, they get Cali swag dates and stuff like that, or people want to book them, they'll go do it. But they just trying to find themselves right now, reinventing themselves on their solo issue. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we just there to support them with whatever they want to do. We don't get them dudes no schedule. We don't make them. They do whatever they see fit and they want to do, and we support it. If they like a whole record, do 20 songs. Don't want to put them out, we don't put it out. Whatever y'all want to do, we're just giving them that freedom to find who they are. You know what I mean?
You know, the fact that you came from the streets, you know, you are from the streets, but you said something very important is how you try to distance yourself from the streets when it came to just certain aspects of life.
I mean, because it's like, you know, I'm not one of the ones that can sit here and be ignorant and tell you that, oh, this is all I know. This is not all I know. I come from a good home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't feel like me saying that is going to, you know, stain or dent my armor or who I am out here. You know what I mean? I come from a good home. You know what I mean? My mother, my grandmother, you know, my pops wasn't around, same story, but my mother and my grandmother did a good job with me. You know what I mean? And at some point in time, I love my hood. I am who I am and I am where I'm from. And I love my homies, but don't get it wrong. At some point in time, any man with sense will understand that what we come from as far as gangbanging, this shit is ignorant. You know what I mean? And we got wrapped up in something that, the lifestyle and growing up young in the 80s when it was hard to bang and it was rough, like when the color shit was real, you know what I mean? It was rough. Like you couldn't wear red for real or you couldn't wear blue for real. You know what I mean? I got jacked when I was young for just having on some red espadrilles and a red sweater. You know what I'm saying? At the Hawthorne Mall, you know what I mean?
Wow,
and it's like,
my niggas at the Hawthorne
you know what I mean?
Mall.
And it's like, I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Niggas, what you got on all that federated for? I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And you getting pressed into a situation where, damn, I keep running into these niggas and getting into it with these niggas. They keep fucking with me. But fuck it, I'm gonna run with my niggas outside. You know what I'm saying? I got homies outside that's already involved, and you get influenced in it, and then just over the years, it's just all this anger and aggression and beef that's just fueled totally by ignorance. And then once lives start getting taken and you losing your friends and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? It's deeper than just the ignorant side of it. You wrapped up in it because these is your loved ones. Yeah. So now you ain't got no choice but to turn up and go. And then you develop this brotherhood and camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? You learn how to be a man. We learned that there's a lot of things that came out of, you know what I'm saying, us being in these gangs, you know what I'm saying? But on the second note, as you get older, you got to find a way to turn it into something else. Mm-hmm. And that's what Big Homies is about, you know what I'm saying? And really being a positive influence, you know what I mean? Because what you can't do is go out, kids, you don't need to bang, they're not listening to that. I was gonna say that, yeah. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna go like my boy Logo say, do some cool shit and let them be influenced by the cool shit that you're doing.
Radio.